What is up, guys? It's Mega Man Chief Fan here, and today I'm just gonna do my graphic novel collection. Now, I don't just want to go on and on and on in the introduction because, really, to be honest, I've done this certain portion for 3 times now, and I really don't want to do it again. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and start with the collection. Hope you guys enjoy. First up is Jeff Lemire's Animal Man. This is volume 1 and the only volume that I own because I've read the majority of this run. I just don't own the majority of this run. I only have this lone volume. But wow, this series is either A, my favorite New 52 run, or B, it's tied with Scott Snyder's Batman. Just unbelievable. Just absolutely brilliant. Hold up. You need to see this art because the art is amazing. The art. Oh, this is perfect. Just look at that. Look at that. It's beautiful. Jeff Lemire is one of my favorite writers. The artist, I don't know who the artist is. Travel Foreman? I hope I don't pronounce that name wrong, but I haven't seen him in any other works and haven't heard of him for anything other than this, but this is amazing, and I highly, highly recommend this book. Up next, now I just want to preface this before I get into this book. The next few books are going to be Batman, because Batman is my all-time favorite character in anything. In anything in the whole world of entertainment, Batman is my favorite character. Just no doubt about it. And the first Batman book I'm going to show off is A Death in the Family. Oh, man. This is... It's not my favorite Batman story, but man, is this close. This is just insane. Just what is going on? It's like Jason Todd dies, and then Tim Drake, and then this version collects A Lonely Place of Dying, which is the first Tim Drake, the first time Tim Drake becomes Robin, and it's just insane. I know. I'm sorry if I gave a spoiler, but Jason Todd dies, and it's just insane. And Joker becomes like wait, what? And the Joker just. It's so insane! It's one of the craziest comics I've ever read! But I do still recommend it. Next up is my all-time favorite Batman story. People say Dark Knight Returns, Long Halloween, blah blah. This is my favorite. Batman, The Black Mirror. I got this for around $10, and I think this retails, yeah, for $17, and even if I paid retail, it still would have been worth it. It's that good. It's pretty much Dick Grayson is not Nightwing. Don't apologize for me rambling. I'm not the best with fluent vocabulary, but I think Dick Grayson is a Batman in this. I'm pretty sure. I haven't read this in a while, and my memory kind of gets clogged now once in a while, but I'm really, really sure that Dick Grayson is Batman in this, and it has to do with Commissioner Gordon's son, and it's incredible. Read it. Next is what some people consider the greatest Batman story of all time, and while I think it's a brilliant book, I've actually, to the point where I've read it twice, I personally don't think it's the best Batman book. I can easily pick like 4 or 5 other Batman books that I prefer, but it's The Dark Knight Returns. Now, just because I prefer some other Batman books over it doesn't mean it's not good. In fact, it is fantastic. Just incredible. I keep using that word, incredible, but I don't know why. It's just incredible word, but anyway, yeah. Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Batman fights Superman. He also fights this gang of mutants. It's just pretty much, I find it just like a collection of 2 story arcs, and it's just incredible. There I go again with the word incredible. Next I have Batman the Killing Joke. I don't think anything fits the word short but sweet better than this book. It's just incredible. Now, unlike the other books, I won't dare spoil what happens in this book. If you are like one of the 10 Batman fans that haven't read this, but here's some of the art, and the art, man. Even though I love Alan Moore and he's one of my favorite writers, the art just steals the show here. And the cover. And also, something that most people don't really like, what's the word? Sorry for, slurring my words and, stopping once in a while. It's just how I am sometimes. But, when you take the dust jacket off, look at that! Look at that! That's beautiful! In fact, I've considered taking off the dust jacket for quite some time now because look at that! Look at that! It's gorgeous! Next is one of my favorites, yet another one that I don't consider my favorite while everybody does. But that does not mean it's a bad book. In fact, it's incredible. And that is Batman the Long Halloween. Just one of the best Batman stories to ever exist. Now, unlike The Dark Knight Returns, while I think I'm gonna get a little hate here. I kind of think Dark Knight Returns is a little overrated. This deserves all the hype that it gets. This, even though it's not my number one favorite, definitely deserves all the hype that it gets. Jeff Loeb's writing is incredible. There I go again with the incredible. What is up with me? Does anybody in this barren room know what is my obsession with the word incredible? You? You all? Or whatever. But, and Tim Sale's art is absolutely really, Tim Sale's art is just brilliant. It's just, look at that! Look at that! Look how he draws the Joker! Just, look at that! Look how big those teeth are! Seriously, but it looks gorgeous. It really does. And I am really happy to own this book because I think I paid retail for it. I think I got it at a Barnes & Noble, but hey, still worth it. Next, what is this name of the book? The Batman Strikes Duty Calls. I've not read it, so I'm just going to end it there. But I do want to say one thing. My friend gave this to me. Shout out to him. I'm not going to say his name due to privacy reasons, but shout out to him. If you're watching, you know who you are. Next, if you are into Batman, this is the book you should start with. Or if you're wanting to get into Batman, this is the book you should start with. And that is Batman Year One. It's by Frank Miller, the same man that wrote Dark Knight Returns. And in my honest opinion, it's better than Dark Knight Returns. Just look at this art. Look at this art. This art is by far so much better than the Dark Knight Returns art. I keep criticizing Dark Knight Returns, but really, it's a great book, but I just prefer so many others. And this is just one of them. And I apparently own the ones that I prefer. But, yeah, the Year One, it's pretty much what you think it is. It's the first year of Batman. And it's more of a Jim Gordon story, or Commissioner Gordon. And really, at first I was confused, where's Batman? But then I realized, oh, it's the first year of Batman. Gotta think it through, man. You're being stupid! Being absolutely stupid! No, I'm not stupid. Trust me. I can be stupid at times, but that is not one of the times I was stupid. I just want to say I'm a huge fan of Image, so I think I have a good amount of Image, not the biggest amount, but I'm planning on getting a lot more Image. The next few months of my collecting while Marvel's doing this Secret Wars thing, which I really couldn't care less about. And Convergence, while it's being over, I'm going to wait till full story arcs come out until I read DC again. I'm going to stick with indie, and the company that I'm going to stick with the most is Image. And here's my first image trade, Black Science Volume 1. Now, Rick Remender, I don't know what is up with this man, but besides this book, I don't really like his writing style. It's not horrible, but just besides this book, I couldn't really find any other books by him that I liked. Like, I didn't really like Deadly Class. I think he wrote Uncanny Avengers, and I didn't really like that. But this is incredible. There I go again. But enough jokes aside, I'm not going to do that joke again, but the art is stellar. Just unbelievable. And who's the artist? Matteo Scalera. I'm sure I'm butchering that name, but whoever he or she is, they're doing a great job. And they replaced the artist at issue 13, and that's in the next trade, so I'm really scared. But I've read the first 2 trades, I own the first one, and so far it's been absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like they go to different dimensions and fight off monsters, but this first trade leads off with a bang. A huge bang. So, and also for what you're paying for, it is thick. Look at that. Look at that. It's $10, and look at that. That's a great deal. It collects the first 6 issues. Definitely recommend this. Next book is Chew Volume 1. Have not read this yet, but I can say this much. 1, the art is just incredible. I don't care if the eyes are too small. I love this book. I love this book. And also, this copy I got, it's $6, but it's a former library copy, and they use like Sharpie to like marker, like to scratch off them like sticker that says blank library copy, and it has like sticker residue everywhere, and there's like just sticker residue, but it is beat, but I got it for like $5, and so I'm not complaining. And plus, I've heard this is one of the best Image books that they've ever released, so really excited to get into this one. These next 2 books are DC The New Frontier, Volume 1, and Volume 2. At first I'm like, oh no, I think, is this the first volume? Oh wait, it is! Yay! But in all seriousness, this is great. I know I kind of seem like, oh, you like everything that you read. No. Trust me. We'll get into that. In fact, I may make a whole series of comics that I hate, but as of right now, most of the books I own, I absolutely love. And DC The New Frontier, I got this at a convention for $15, and I think that's a good deal. I know people have gotten this for cheaper, but hey, 2 pretty good sized trades for $15. Hey, I'm all for it. And plus, Darwin Cook. This man can draw and write. He's like Jeff Lemire, but his art style is a lot more cleaner, and while his writing isn't as good as Jeff Lemire's, he does kind of beat him in the art. So, yeah, DC The New Frontier. Definitely recommend this. Next is another Image trade, and unlike Chew and much like Black Science, I have read this. And pretty much the first 3 trades, and that is East of West. The only thing worth reading from Jonathan Hickman. You want to know comics I hate? Everything else besides this, everything else that Jonathan Hickman has written is awful. Avengers, awful. So far, Secret Wars has been bad. Manhattan Project started off decent, but then trailed off to something not good. But East of West is really good, though. And it's pretty much like a apocalyptic universe, and there's like a corrupt version of the American government, and there's like this, it's kind of like a wet sci-fi western. And I love sci-fi westerns, and let me just say that right now, I love sci-fi westerns. And while this isn't the best sci-fi western I've ever seen slash read, that title goes to Cowboy Bebop. This is still a great book. Even though I have a very high dislike of the writer. And also, the art is just gorgeous. I mean, look at that. Look at that. On to the next stack and more Jeff Lemire. All 3 books of Essex County. Yay! But anyway, Essex County is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the art may be really scratchy, but it's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And yes, they're former library copies, but you know what? I don't care. I needed to own this series. I needed to own everything. And I got this, all 3 of these trades for like $5. And that's not for each. That's just in total because they were former library copies. But still, they were worth it. Just one of the most underrated comics of all time. Another book! Green Lantern Secret Origin. I have not read that much Green Lantern. In fact, I've only read this. But I did really like this book, and I really want to get into more Green Lantern. Oh, wait, there's a hair. Ew. No. Get out of your hair. But anyway, Green Lantern Secret Origin. This is pretty much the book I wanted to pick up to get into Green Lantern. And when I found it at a convention for $10, hardcover for $10, of course I wasn't going to pass on that. Hope I just want to. And the art. Jeff Johns' writing is great. The art is great. Ivan Reis. I could never pronounce that name correctly. I don't know why, but whatever. His art is fantastic. It's just a great book. Next book is Nailbiter. No, but seriously, Nailbiter is... Actually, I was going to say, oh, it's great, but I haven't read it yet. I just got this yesterday, but, yeah. But what I can tell you right now is the art. Just beautiful. But I've heard from, what was that YouTuber's name? Like, Scott9Firefly? Yeah, that's his name, or at least his YouTube name. He said that this is one of the best comics he's ever read, or at least he thought it was unbelievable. But, so, once I heard that, when I saw this drop in price on Amazon, I immediately picked this up. I'm like, yep, bought! But, enough of me screaming and trying to be humorous. Really excited to get into this book, and, yeah, just excited. Okay, everybody that's into comics, even people that aren't into comics, are probably reading this. Let's get this over with. Saga. Seriously, who isn't reading this? Who? Well, for a long while, I wasn't. Because I only read this first trade a few days ago. But seriously, this was fantastic. This was fantastic. I mean, Brian K. Vaughan. Usually Brian K. Vaughan is hit or miss for me, but Brian definitely made a hit with this. And Fiona Staples' artwork is just gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. And also, let's face it, Alana's a boss. Face it, she is a god. Not really a god, but she acts like one. She's like always like, oh, I want to show my child the universe, unlike you. And she wants to be adventurous. And I always love those type of characters. And so I really, really like Alana as a character. But I just had to get that out because she's just awesome. But still, the book is just great. And I highly recommend it. Oh, man. This is probably the fattest graphic novel I've ever held in my life. Ever held in my hands. That's to say, it's Stray Bullets. I'm not even going to pronounce that. I've not read this yet. I have a lot of things I've not read yet, but this is just one of them. This is another one that I have not read yet. So anyway, the art is not the best, but it's doable. But I'm really excited to get into this book because I've heard it's it's going to become a classic. And hey, I'm always up for a classic, or going to be classic. All right, you ready? You guys ready? I don't think you're ready. All right, if you say so. All 6 volumes of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Now, I've only read the first 2 volumes of this, so I don't know if it gets bad later on, but I've read the first, but as I said, I read the first 2 volumes. Those 2 volumes were 2 of the greatest graphic novels I've ever read. I am not even joking with that. This is a masterpiece. This, from what I've read so far, is a masterpiece. It's pretty much just a very gothic love story, and usually, being a guy, I'm not usually that fan of love stories because I kind of find them cheesy once in a while, but the relationship in this is incredible. It's very realistic. It's incredible. I don't care if I'm overusing that word. It's an incredible masterpiece. And also the romance in Saga is pretty good. More Jeff Lemire! Sweet Tooth! All 6 volumes of Sweet Tooth. Now, this is probably my 3rd favorite comic of all time. Just absolutely phenomenal. Now, hold on, let me just flip through the art. Jeff Lemire's art style in here is a lot more complete than something like Essex County. So, this is by far Lemire's best work, and I highly recommend it. If you're just looking for a short Vertigo series, this is the one I would recommend the most. Because even though I would right now prefer Swamp Thing over it's... Wait, there's the same volume length. Whatever, I still recommend this. Alright, we're getting down to the last of it. Up next, I'm just going to show these 2 books together because they pretty much go with each other. The Death of Superman, and A World Without a Superman. I have not read A World Without a Superman, but I have read The Death of Superman, and it was pretty good. It wasn't the best at all, but and for like one of the most famous comic book stories of all time, I was kind of expecting more, but from what I've got, it was pretty good. But I have heard that A World Without a Superman is the weakest of the trilogy, and I'm kind of not excited. And also, just like that Batman book I got, this was also sent by the same guy. Shout out to him. Thank you. But anyway, yeah. World Without a Superman and The Death of Superman. Next up, even though I only own 1 volume of this is my all-time favorite comic book series. And you know what? I'm just going to say it's my all-time favorite book series. And that is The Sandman. Now, I have read this whole series, but I just don't own the whole series. I only own the first volume, but... incredible. Incredible, incredible, incredible. If you have not read this, you are missing out on one of the best stories. In my opinion, one of the best stories ever told. Neil Gaiman does probably one of the best jobs ever telling this creepy yet fascinating tale with a bit trippy artwork, and it's just beautifully pieced together in such a way that it creates one of the most beautiful pictures you'll ever see. And just, it's incredible! Next up, another one of my all-time favorites, or newly added all-time favorites, The Wicked Plus the Divine, Volume 1. This, oh man, when I read this, I could not put this down. I was reading it at school, and I'm like, oh man, why can't I read this all in one sitting? Please let me read this all in one sitting. I don't want to stop. Please. Please. But enough jokes aside, which would probably not be the case, The Wicked plus the Divine is incredible. And the art. That art, hold up. There's a specific panel that I absolutely love. Here it is. Look at that. It just looks gorgeous. And it's pretty much gods become pop stars. And there's like a whole ton of like, there's like this. And there's like this rule where like 12 gods come down every, like, every 90 years, 12 gods return as young people. And, it's just one of the best. This is hands down the best Image series I've read yet. Notice that I've said yet. Now you guys might be thinking, whoa, Graham. Yeah, that's my name, by the way. Well, Graham, do you hate any comics? Well, I have one. Oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of hate. I do not like Transmetropolitan. I'm just gonna say that right now. I do not like Transmetropolitan. I just think it's heavily pretentious and full of itself. The story's a mess. The art can be beautiful at one point, but then ugly at another. It's pointlessly vulgar. It's just not that good of a book. And I just recommend to stay away from it. And I know a lot of people like it. And I personally like Warren Ellis as a writer. I mean, Moon Knight. Has anybody read Moon Knight, his Moon Knight run? That is some Class A comics. This is not. Next up is probably my last Jeff Lemire book. Yeah, my last Jeff Lemire book. Trillium. Now, I have not read this yet, but Jeff Lemire both wrote and drew this, so I'm really excited to read it. And the only reason why I haven't read it yet is because I just got it yesterday, so reading this today. Next up, Watchmen. Everybody knows it. Everybody probably loves it, or at least thinks it's okay at the worst. It's just one of the best stories ever told. It's absolutely phenomenal. And for a while, until I read The Sandman, this was my all-time favorite comic. I know it's a cliched answer, but still. This is probably still my second favorite comic of all time. And it's definitely worth the $20 I paid for it. Yes, I paid retail. Don't judge. Next up is probably the most valuable book in my collection, and that is X-Men Mutant Massacre, oversized hardcover. This thing is kind of beat at the top with this tear right here, but there's something special about this book. It's signed by A.J. Davis and the one, the only, Chris Claremont. That is something. I don't want to brag, but that was just an amazing deal. And I got this for $20. It was already signed. I didn't meet Chris Claremont, but it was at the convention I was at, and it was just there. $20 said it was signed, and I'm like, no. But it turns out, it was. And also the book itself is just great. I like the X-Men quite a bit. They're not like Batman where they're like, oh my god, they're so good. No, these guys, I really like them, especially Wolverine. But I wouldn't consider them my all-time favorite. They're probably my all-time favorite Marvel superheroes, but not my all-time favorite hero or characters in general, like how I think of like Batman. But yeah, this is still a really good book. And I really want to pick up the Days of Future Past oversized hardcover. That's still in print, so hey, you never know when. Next up is X-Men Proteus, or Phoenix Rising. I really just call it Phoenix Rising, but this I've not read yet, so I'm just gonna end it there. I'm not even gonna show you the art. That's why I'm kind of rude. Alright, last three books. The second to last thing I'm going to show in this video is this. Batman, the first 2 volumes of Scott Snyder's New 52 run. The Court of Owls, and Court of Owls, and the City of Owls. These 2 books make up my second favorite Batman story of all time. Man, Scott Snyder's just, like, in, like, 2011 through, like, around, like, 2013, Scott Snyder was just nailing it out of the park. He was creating great story after great story after great story. And it just blew my mind. It blew my mind how such a good writer he is. And it just fascinated me and really wanted me to get into comic book writing myself. So I'm actually planning on being a writer when I grow up. And this is certainly one of the books that have inspired me to become a comic book writer, or want to become a comic book writer. I'm not one yet. And finally, I'm sadly ending on another bad note. New 52, Future's End. This is insane. Like, Death in the Family is one of the most insane comics I've ever read. This is the most insane comic I've ever read. But unlike Death in the Family, where it, like, plays off itself and actually becomes a good book, this isn't. This really isn't. I got it cheap, so, not gonna complain about that, but it did come bent right here in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, came bent, but it really isn't that good. It's not horrible or anything, but it's just too insane for my taste. So that was my video, and this is my first video on the channel. So I want you guys to tell me what I can do differently. I know I have to speak more fluently and probably slow down a bit, but I just need some advice for YouTube because I want to start doing reviews or discussions. I really, really want to get into the world of YouTube. And just leave a like. No, I'm not going to make a shameless plug, but anyway, I'm just going to end it here. I'm Mega Man Chief Fan, and I'll see you later, guys.